Don't really matter though, gang.
Making a stagger, yeah. My exes, y'all broke now. You know what I'm saying? Got my DM, I don't want you back. Yeah. You know.
When the stars get aligned, no dimes get left behind. With that being said, kick that intro for me one time. Believe that.
Yelling behind us. Pass the play. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. That's the greatest thing ever lived. All right? I don't have a mark on my face. And my upset body listeners. And I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I tell the world. I talk to God every day. The God put the kilo out of me.
What's going on today, folks? It's your boy King KO back with another video. And for today's topic, we got that boy Fredo Bang. We also got 7 Hardaway. But the first topic we're gonna speak about is in this snippet that Fredo Bang had on IG Live, he brought up Baby Joe's brother, Block. And also brought up the fact that, you know, him and Block was cellies. And mentioned Block and said that Block basically talking crazy, but never said it to his face anytime, you know, with them when in the midst of them living with each other. You know, Block had nothing to say about the man, you know. We know all the stuff that Block was saying about seeing Fredo get whooped, you know, with an extension cord and all these different crazy things. But Block never brought that to his attention when they was locked up together, you know, or even, you know, came at him in a negative way. So, you know, that's that. Y'all go check out that snippet. It'll be on my IG. Then he also went on to make another snippet on his Instagram story of a new song he got. I don't know who the man that did the hook, but he was also sending another shot, you know, at the op side. As we all know who the op side is. We ain't even gotta mention it, but just the fact that, you know, he made a story going in on him, and he ain't been playing. You know what I'm saying? He been letting it be known. You know, it's still funk. It's always gonna be funk. It's up forever. You feel me? It ain't never gonna stop. It ain't never coming down. Ain't nothing changing. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I mean, I can't even be mad at him for that one. You feel me? But then he also went on his other story.
Say that I be high, you know that's cap. Huff and puff all you want. Can't blow no breath back into that fat. Say that I be high, you know that's cap. Huff and puff all you want. Can't blow no breath back into that fat. Got someone, yeah.
Regardless of how hard that bar was, I still gotta keep it real and say, man, I'm disappointed to see Fredo disrespecting the dead, man. We gotta stop this, man. This trend cannot keep on carrying on, but let's move on, y'all.
I seen him take off from the screen.
Next up, we got 7 Hardaway, and he went ahead and went live with his homie. You know, his homie crazy, but they was talking about spinning wrench. Y'all check it out, though.
How the lunch here and went at the ranch.
Could you please turn it down? Could you please turn it down? I'm on the phone, 7. Can I talk? Go ahead. What you saying?
How the lunch here and went at the ranch.
With nice grills, all right, bro. Everything when it's playing. That was about the only thing that when it's playing. You ever? Real about the only thing that when it's playing. Man, I need a raise. Hey, let's talk about a raise. I need a raise.
I got you.
You ever? I need a raise. I need a raise.
Hey, look. I'm gonna give you a raise as soon as I get back.
Bet. Man, y'all fresh. Say, look. That's how I gotta give me. I gotta give me a spinnerette. I gotta give me a lady spinner. You hear me? A spinnerette. That's what we call it. That's the new name for them. Spinnerettes. I gotta give me a spinnerette. You hear me? And I gotta domesticate her. Gang. I gotta domesticate her. I'm gonna give me a spinnerette. I'm gonna domesticate her. She go like everything I do, and she go support me, and she go be my backbone. Like how Queen is to you. You hear me? You know, like how you like y'all the ideal couple. You hear me? Like I know I'm sexy. You hear me? I know I'm smart, intelligent. Man, I wonder what got Boulevard all day today, you hear me? Shout out to Boulevard Mail. You hear me? Who gonna be my Valentine, man? Who gonna be my Valentine? What's sound with the business is? What's up? Say low key, bro. Now what the in the next room watching my life? You see what I'm saying? The best shit. See, that's him and Dre. That's him and Dre. They're trying to joke something. You hear me? See, like Cam, well, I think Cam must have found him. That girl up eating when he ducked off with. I ain't heard from Cam all trip. Cam, look, long as Cam been up here, he ain't seen him all day. I seen that car there, you hear me?
Say,
I ain't seen him out there.
Hey, you know, Cam don't say too much, though.
Yeah, he don't say too much.
Oh, dude,
you better not say too much.
Say, look.
Yeah.
I'll be back at the ranch. Everything will be back Wednesday.
Hey. Man, you gotta tell Big West. You gotta tell Big West, man. Tell Big West. I want to hire Big West as my assistant. House security, you hear me? Head of security. He'll be assistant head of security, you hear me? Cause I Big West. Big West a G. Big West a G.
Big West
yes,
say,
sir.
warning, first warning. Wake up your.
Yeah, yes, sir. Now you know Big is in these days. Now they watch but they look up Big West be having on Murder Street, you hear me? Next thing you know, Big West having on Murder Street. You understand me? So what all y'all did? I see I was in Harlem.
Man,
I was in Harlem.
I've been all over the, you know, Harlem, Queens, Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yo, not my. Ain't nobody worried. What a word was it, man? I know you. What a word was it? I'm lyrical. What you mean? I got a problem. Hold on, big brother. Look what I'm saying. Do what I'm saying. I still look. I'm still no good. I heard you're broke. I don't know about nobody else, you hear me? But I know about one gang. I know what gang ain't broke. TBG Gorilla Gang ain't broke. No sir, we ain't broke at all. No sir. Look, bricks.
Now listen.
You wanna chill my pussy?
I was gonna say.
You wanna chill that big brother on pussy? Yeah, this is what I walk around all day long. This is my Gucci, Louis. You hear me? This bitch, who broke? I ain't even a rapper. I don't even rap. I'm here to security.
And you got to do one thing though.
What that about, man?
You got to get your iPhone.
Man, I don't like iPhone, bro, man. All right, I'm gonna buy one. Look, all right, check this out, big brother. Look, I got you a present. Big brother. I got you a present. I don't know if you know it or not, big brother, but look. All right. I got you this. I got you one of them for one hot day, and the next for the next hot day. You have to get one by one, okay?
I can't see
what
it is. I can't.
Hold up.
I can't see from your.
That's what I got, my big brother. That's what I got, my big brother right there. I got my big brother right there. That's what I got for you, big boy. That's what I got for you right there, big boy. That's what I got for you. I got you that right there. I got you that. Nigga, that's Gucci by Gucci. That's my Creed. Got $500 cologne. You mean? That's how you do it for your homeboy. That's your homeboy. Sit down to your homeboy. Come up with a homeboy appreciation day. Real Spenders appreciation day. That's all for you. That's all for you. This is my dog for August 3rd, you hear me? Yeah, straight up. That's how we do it over here, man. Nigga talking about, man. TBG Gorilla Gang, man. Ain't know what the business is, man. Spit up music. Yeah, man. I hold it down at the ranch, you hear me? I heard it down this straight up and here all day long. Me and Benny Mo. Bet not going out kitchen. Straight up. Straight up, you hear me? Straight. Man, bro, can't nobody here cook. Everybody here, look, I'm the single one. Everybody, can't nobody cook, son. What's up? We need to hire a chef. Which one you niggas to cook, man?
Hey, look, the chef gonna be there in the morning. Tomorrow,
man, you shouldn't have fired. You shouldn't have got rid of Jugaboo wife, man.
The chef
should have fired Jugaboo wife.
The chef will be there in the morning. Tomorrow, Monday.
Right. Man, you gotta get a Valentine's Day freestyle, son. Make sure to make a Black Gotti. Black Gotti. Shout out to Black Gotti. Shout out to Black Gotti. I ain't like it for maybe this year. We got on that later. You gave me a newfound respect for Black Gotti. All you other bloggers sucker Black Gotti.
Yeah.
Straight up. Look, man, hey, I gotta go. I'm finna go get with E Harmony or something. Finna find me a nice Christian woman.
Don't bring her to spin a rent.
The nice Christian woman?
Can't bring her to spin a rent.
That's a very low key need, bro, in their life, but they just spiritual guys. It's ill, man. You hear me? You think Yo-Yo, man, look. Shout out to Yo-Yo. Man, these know they drill. I ain't lying. These know they drill. You hear me? Three got, look, Give what they got their girl for Valentine's Day. Draco. What kind of girl a Draco for Valentine's Day? Man, that's retarded, bro. Girl a Draco with a bow around. Say, man, look, I'm thinking he finna go get some chocolates or something. Man, he comes back there with a Draco with a bow around it. Yeah, two gangsters. You hear me? Straight up. Gangster. I said, what you did with the other Drake? I'm gonna get that to my new girlfriend. I said, this he taking this new Draco, go give it to this old Draco, give it. Wow, but that's just a good idea though. But let me get out this live, man. I gotta see how he. See, that's no good. Let me get out this. No good. Follow me, man.
All right, brother. Get out, fool with it. Yeah, the titty was holding the spinner wrench down for me while I was gone. You hear me? Gotta make sure the cows get fed and the horses. You gotta make sure the spinner wrench ran properly. You know what I'm saying? It's a job. All right.
Them boys crazy, but we ain't got time to comment on that. We got to speak up on something and put something to rest that I feel like is just flat out cap, if you want me to be honest. I'm tired of y'all getting in my comment section whenever I make an Errol Spence and a Terrence Crawford video. And I got somebody saying that Errol Spence is ducking Terrence Crawford. That is cap. I call cap. Nothing but cap. Real talk. If anybody's ducking, it is Terrence Bud Crawford. As great of a talent as Terrence Bud Crawford is, he is ducking by the fact that he does not want to take a 60-40 split, even though that's a lot of generosity from Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr., after the numbers just came out with Danny Garcia, has done the biggest pay-per-views of the pandemic. Besides, we're going to exclude the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., because you got to understand, those two names are universal. The Mike Tyson is on the level of a Floyd Mayweather when we talking about pay-per-view numbers. So we got to exclude those two. Also, that's heavyweight division. The heavyweight division always does the most numbers. You know, boxing is carried by the heavyweight division. So we got to exclude that. Now, when we talking about anything south of that, Errol Spence Jr. is looking like he's becoming a man. Canelo Alvarez was that universal pay-per-view star. And I'm not saying that Errol Spence Jr. is superseding Canelo Alvarez, but he is definitely outdoing him in the latest numbers throughout the pandemic. And I know it's also due to the fact that he got in that horrendous car accident, and that created a selling point for him. But at the same time, you cannot take away Errol Spence's resume over the last 6 or 7 fights that he's had or so. You got Kell Brook, which was a healthy Kell Brook. A Kell Brook that was considered the best welterweight in the world. It was debatable between him and Keith Thurman. You know, at the time when Errol Spence Jr. stopped him and broke his eye socket and really set back Kell Brook's career, made Kell Brook go into depression and all kind of different things. Made Kell Brook a washed up shell of himself, damaged goods. That's why everybody says damaged goods. He was no longer the Kell Brook that we knew. You know what I'm saying? He was no longer Special K. He was no longer the special one. He lost the drive and motivation that made him special when Terrence Bud Crawford fought him last year. And Kell Brook still was dominating Terrence Crawford in the opening rounds. Then Terrence Crawford started to pour it on and kind of caught him in that eye and knocked him out. We'll give him a knockout. I felt like Kell Brook gave up because he was scared of risking another eye socket injury. From what I seen he got hit too hard in the eye socket and felt like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to lose my eye again. But y'all got to understand this, man. Crawford has not done enough. He has not fought the level of talent that Errol Spence Jr. has fought to be able to say that he deserves a 50-50 split. My boy Blue Blood Sports said it best. You know, Mayweather had to take a pay cut to the golden boy, Oscar De La Hoya, because he was the bigger star at the time. Oscar was. Manny Pacquiao had to take a pay cut to Floyd Mayweather because Floyd Mayweather was the biggest star at this time. Canelo had to take a pay cut to Floyd Mayweather because he was the bigger star at the time. Y'all get it? Do y'all not understand how sports run? The reason Mayweather was the bigger star is because he fought the better competition. You got to understand this. And not to mention, he knew how to market himself. He was a good promoter. Terrence Crawford does not know how to promote himself. So he does not do good numbers on pay-per-view. He doesn't even get good regular views. So that's what makes Errol Spence deserve 60, because he's going to be the one to sell this fight. Without Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford would never do the numbers that a pay-per-view star should be doing or would be doing. I don't even see the Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford fight doing that well because nobody cares outside of real avid boxing fans like myself and like, you know, most of the boxing communities on YouTube. Nobody really cares outside of them to really go and watch that fight, you know? Nobody would care about a him and Keith Thurman fight unless you're a real boxing fan. You know what I'm saying? A supporter. I'm a real boxing supporter. So I would enjoy those type of fights. But when we talking about regular people, nobody will buy those because nobody cares. But you got real die-hard supporters of Errol Spence Jr. People I've never seen watch boxing before was talking about him and his return with Danny Garcia. So you gotta understand, he has that star power, that household name. Terrence Crawford does not. He does not sell. I'm sorry. But let's move on to this Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao thing that people have been talking about could be in the works. First off, I'm going to tell y'all again, that's cap. That's not happening. That's another one of those smoke screens that get created in the boxing community because, of course, fans want to see good fights. But Manny Pacquiao never thought about fighting either one of these young champions in the welterweight division. He does not care to fight them. He keeps on dragging them along, been dragging them along for years. It's been about 6 years that he's been dragging Terrence Crawford along. And it's been about 3 or 4 that he's been dragging Errol Spence Jr. along. So we all know he does not care to fight them. Let's stop bringing that up. And just the fact that he told Bob Arum and him that he wants $40 million confirms the fact that he doesn't want to fight him. Because we all know that Bob Arum is cheap. Let's just be honest. Bob Arum does not want to pay for good fights. He already told him that he didn't want to pay him $20 million the last time they were in negotiations. So with Manny Pacquiao doubling that number, we know that fight is definitely not going to happen. So I'm going to just tell y'all that that's cap. Don't believe the hype. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the champion in the lightweight division, Gervonta Tank Davis. And if you haven't heard, Gervonta Tank Davis just recently broke his hand in his highly regarded sparring match with Brian Norman Jr. And it looks like he might not be fighting for the rest of 2021 due to the fact that he's going to need to heal his hand and also do rehabbing to get his hand back up to strength. You know, his hands is literally everything and almost everything in his profession. So he got to make sure his hands are strong enough to withstand the power that he releases out of them. Now, I want to touch on the Brian Norman Jr. and Tank Davis sparring match for a second, because I feel like it was too many catalysts, like analysts, too many people analyzing the sparring match. It's a sparring match. Now, if you don't know, I used to box too. I've sparred a few people, and the thing is, I sparred a lot of people actually. The thing is, I done lost sparring matches and I done won sparring matches. In some sparring matches, like when I was young, you know, a lot of people like to use 16-ounce gloves. We used 18-ounce gloves. Some people use 12-ounce. Well, I used 18-ounce simply because my uncle liked to keep us with heavy stuff on our hands. That way we could swing faster when we got into those lighter gloves, those 8-ounce gloves. It's totally different when you're in 8-ounce gloves. It's totally different when you have sparring helmets and protective gear on you, period. It's totally different when those things come off. Now you got to understand, Gervonta Tank Davis is a power puncher. He's a power puncher with excellent defense who can also box. He likes to give you shots to the liver. He likes to do stuff like that. He likes to give you those real good body shots. Now you got to understand, the protective gear minimizes his best attribute, which is power. You know, then the heavy gloves minimize his best attribute, which is his power. It gives more of an advantage to Brian Norman Jr. because you're taking away Gervonta Davis' best attribute. You're making heavier gloves, so it's harder to hit Brian Norman Jr. He can defend himself a lot better, and he can move a lot better. You know, it slows Gervonta down because you're adding extra weight onto him. If you never sparred before, you should definitely go try it, then make your assumption about what happened, you know. Then make your assumption about the fact that sparring is totally different. That means nothing. And Brian should be honestly scrutinized for even coming out and making this public. Because we go by, in boxing, there is an unspoken rule. What happens in sparring stays in sparring. Which means that you do not release the details of sparring. You just don't do that. That's not right. That's not supposed to happen. So, for all of you new age, you know, boxers, young and up and coming boxers, this whole thing that's going on where you guys are just putting out the information that's going on in sparring, to me, is watering down the sport. Because now you got people talking about so-and-so can beat so-and-so because they beat them in sparring. Sparring is just practice. That's all it is. It's not serious. It's not anything like that. You just spar to work on the things that you feel like you're lacking on. Now, I know they turned the bell off and they went for like 20 minutes straight and whatnot, you know, how the story came out. But it's still practice. You still have the practice protective gear on. Things change when that gear come off. Yeah, that hair gear do seem like it give you a meaner headache, but ultimately it protects you from getting knocked out by a temple shot. It also makes it harder to sock you all in your eyes and, you know, just multiple different things. People like to keep their head more tilted with that protective gear on simply because it kind of takes away a lot of the power behind someone else's punches. Now, that's something that I feel like is not being spoken on. Everybody's so quickly, ready to see Gervonta Tank Davis lose that they don't think about the fact that this is sparring. And in a real fight, Brian Norman Jr., I'm going to tell you like this, bro. It's a good possibility that you might just get knocked out. Even though you're a welterweight, a junior welterweight, most likely going to move up. You got the size, 5'8", and you're fighting a guy who's 10 pounds lighter. I don't care that Gervonta Davis moved up to 135. He only had one fight at 135, so he's a 130-pounder. We all know that. His size and height even says that to us. Everybody's bigger than him at 135. But Brian Norman Jr., I think that without all the protective gearing, you better watch out. Because we all know Tank's a dog. And Tank just might take you out. And like Keyshawn Davis said, Tank beats anybody right now. He's so high. He has so much momentum. His energy level is so much through the roof. I don't see anybody beating Tank Davis. But with that being said, I'm out. Believe it.